Thank you very much indeed, John. Ben is now ready, and Ben is joined on the sofa by Tom Page, who is the director at PLA Studios.
That's right.
Good to meet you, Tom.
Good to meet you.
We're going to talk a little bit about gaming, a little about second screen, a little all that kind of stuff. You've got a seminar going on later today. Yeah,
we're going to be on a panel. We're going to be discussing the sort of transition from competitor to companion when it comes to games and gaming. How broadcasters can look at their IP, look at their content, and consider how best to move it into that side of things.
Tell us a little bit then, first of all, about yourself and about the company.
So PLA Studios is based in Brick Lane here in London, and we make games generally in collaboration with people from other media. We do a lot of games with musicians. We've done some work with the Army, work with a lot of brands, a lot of companies that don't traditionally have anything to do with gaming but are thinking about moving into that area. We help them, introduce them to how gaming works and how they should think about getting the most out of it.
So how did you get involved with all this? How did it all start?
I used to be in marketing, actually. I used to be in digital marketing, and I found myself more and more looking at more interesting ways, more engaging ways of presenting content and brands, and eventually that came around to making games. It was originally on the iPhone. When the iPhone and the App Store first started to become big, there was a lot of opportunity there, a lot of people really keen to get involved.
So the question in the seminar is gaming and connected viewing. How are broadcasters, it's a long one.
It's a long one, it is a long one.
How are broadcasters and content owners embracing gaming in their content offering?
Sure.
Discuss.
More importantly, how should they be? Rather than how are they actually doing it at the moment? So as the title kind of suggests, there's gaming and games have been a form of a media in their own right, and a very interactive one rather than, one might argue, a passive one for television and broadcasting. So they were obviously seen as competition. Quite often they were on the same screen. Do you have the television on, or are you playing a game on that dumb screen in your living room on that television? Were you on your phone? Were you on a tablet device now, or are you looking at the television, or are you doing both? And does it matter? Should you be concentrating on one or another, or is there room here to do something really meaningful and engaging using the pair?
Right, okay. It sounds like my mum, who's got the telly on. She's got something else on the iPad, and she's got Candy Crush.
And we all do it, and we don't even notice we're doing it.
Oh, my dad noticed.
You notice? Your dad notices. The person doing it tends not to notice.
She doesn't talk to me anymore. All she's doing is playing on her iPad.
Well, that's what we're going to explore. Is there an opportunity there that's really not being taken full advantage of? Should that content be separate? As you were just saying, in that particular example, you've got the telly on in the background, and someone's playing Candy Crush or some game like that, which has nothing to do with the content that they have on the television. So is there something more we could be doing there?
So I take it the simplest version of this, before you bring the gaming in, is stuff like social media. So with a Twitter feed on your tablet, with a Twitter feed or Facebook and that kind of thing. Is that where it all kind of starts?
Well, that's one route that you're pointing out there. It's a complementary, it's an add-on, it's a supplementary feature to what you're viewing on the television. You can discuss it here, but the focus is still on the content that's on your telly. You have just another way of interacting with it, and other people, and the way they interact with it and what they think about it on your second screen, as it were. But that's not the be-all and end-all. There's more there. That's just where this behaviour came from, and where I think the opportunity and the visibility of this opportunity came from.
So do you think this kind of behaviour just kind of happened because of the technology and because that second screen is there, or is it something that marketing guys or ex-marketing guys like yourself have developed, and how do you kind of push people in that direction? Or push is wrong word. But
maybe we don't need to. I mean, the question kind of is, should we be pushing them in that direction? Is there really a genuine opportunity? There's a lot of talk out there about second screen, about what you can do, and about gaming and how it can be linking to television. And I think a lot of the times people need to take a step back and just think about a few things a little earlier on before they delve into it. People make a lot of assumptions about gaming and the way people interact with game content. And usually that comes from their experience with television.
So, talk me through this game content. So people at home are thinking, maybe, I don't know, what are you thinking at home? Are you thinking Angry Birds? Are you thinking Candy Crush? Are you thinking something a lot simpler? What does the gaming's quite a broad subject?
Well, there's two ways to look at it, I guess. There's potentially gaming content which supplements and it augments what's happening on your screen, what's on your telly. Now, that's something that is very much a second screen. This is happening at the same time. It's important that those two things, they don't stand in isolation. The app or the game itself means nothing without the television content on the bigger screen. But then there's the whole content and the IPs themselves, the brands, if you will, and all the content that comes from television, which have a fan base, and they have expectations, and they have people like this already. What more can you do with that content? And should it be on a second screen, or should it be a game in its own right?
So is this about repurposing as well? So the repurposing of the material and taking that and just using it in a different way. So, for instance, broadcasters are getting more bang for their buck, if you like.
They are. There's something else another route, another media, another route you can take that IP that you have. You have successful content. You have really high quality content. Maybe there's more we can do with it. Maybe we should be taking this into a gaming experience. Maybe we need an interactive experience with this content. And I think that's a really, really good thing to think about. But I'm not sure yet that most broadcasters are thinking about it in the right way.
And is that part of the issue? I was going to say problem, but is that part of the issue?
The challenge.
The
challenge is the word we like to use.
Yes,
I think that is part of the challenge. There's a few questions that need answering very early on which tend to get skipped over. And that's why I think quite often so far in what we've come up, we've seen a big range of success from very little to hugely successful. I think it's a bit of a shotgun approach. People are making a lot of assumptions. We have good popular content here. If we make a gaming experience out of it, that will also be popular. It's not the case necessarily.
So it's part of your job, as it were, and part of this seminar today is perhaps educating broadcast producers as to this is what's
That's
available.
what I'd like to do. I'd like to just give a few brief lessons and maybe things to think about very early on when you first have that idea that we could be doing something interactive here. Just a few early questions you really need to be looking at huge hurdles are going to be leapt just by answering a couple of really simple questions early on. And it's stuff that really, that experience needs to come from the games industry.
Can you give us a very quick, small example of something that you've worked on or something that is working that you see as a good example of this?
Well, rather than, I prefer not to talk about something specific right now.
Right now.
But in general...
Let me rephrase the question.
Sure.
Can you tell me something in general that you think is working
in general
quite well?
that I think is working quite well? Actually, a Jurian from Endemol Games, who I'm going to be chatting with later on the panel, they've done a fantastic job of really drilling down into the content that they had that was properly suitable for gaming, properly suitable for an interactive experience, and then not just repurposing it, readdressing it completely afresh, and really looking at what the user would actually want, what kind of user, profile that user, who are we aiming for, what do they want, what's the appropriate content, bam. I think they've done an amazing job.
Brilliant. Remind us when the seminar is, what time for those that are here at the show, or we're going to make it down here?
I think it's about 1:30, I think, Arthur.
About
I shall have to check.
I will check, and I will tell them when we come
Thank
back.
you very much.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
For chatting.
Thanks very much.
Have a good rest of the show, and enjoy the seminar. Thank you very much.